Gorgeous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Edmund Rollett. I'm principal horn with the Utah Symphony, and I'm here to welcome Pablo Sainz-Villegas again to Utah. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Edmund.
We really appreciate it. Now, what are you going to be playing with us this
I'll
time?
be playing a beautiful piece by maestro, composer Joaquín Rodrigo. This piece is called Fantasía para un gentil hombre. Fantasía for a nobleman.
Yeah.
And it is inspired in the music of the Baroque. In those times when the plucked instruments, the family of the plucked instruments of the vihuela, the Baroque guitar, the lute, were very popular. And they were played in the streets by the troubadours, and they were also played in the court by the court musicians. So that's the nature of the instrument. It's always been, and this is the nature of this beautiful piece. So it's an homage to those pieces, and there are 4 different movements, and they are 4 different dances, Baroque dances.
Fabulous. Thank you. So before we get into a couple more questions for Maestro Villegas, we have a special trivia event for this concert. I'm going to ask a couple of trivia questions. Please jump in the comments or in whatever means is appropriate. You can send an email if you like, leave a voicemail, and give the answers. And among those who give all 3 correct answers, then there will be a prize drawn of a free ticket to this concert. 1 free ticket. Thank you. So the first question is this: how many times has Pablo Villegas played with the Utah Symphony? So go ahead and put your answers in the comments. In the meantime, I would love to ask you this gorgeous piece. How did you discover it, and what has been your relationship with this piece through your career?
Well, it's one of my favorite pieces since I was a kid, and it is this kind of pieces that when you're a student, when you are growing up, I always dreamt of playing one day. And it's always so exciting when that day arrives and you start discovering and start playing the piece, and you realize that those melodies and harmonies that you've heard so many times in recordings, then you are the person who is playing it, no? And that's a magical moment, always. And that's just the beginning of the relationship with a piece. After that is a never-ending journey of finding magic between the notes. Finding the beautiful surprises that every good composer hides within the score. And it is our quest as musicians to discover them, and that's
and to share
exciting.
them and to show, to say, look at this, look how wonderful this is.
Exactly, and that's where somehow, Edmund, we participate of the creative process of music making. That starts with the composer when he's able to take all this creativity from the abstract and put it into paper, into the concrete. Then it's our task to liberate music from the prison of the score and bring it back into the air. And then it's the audience, the ultimate piece of the music making and the creation. Music belongs to them, and the audience is who really completes the creative process of music. That's why it's so important that you are there. It's so important that you enjoy music, because through witnessing music, you make music real. You make our dreams come true, and you make our profession be meaningful.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. Can you share a little bit about the contribution that Spanish music has made to classical music or the world of music in general, not just classical music?
Spanish music is very much inspired in two sources. One is folk music, and the other one is flamenco music. Both of them are popular music from Spain, and they are both very rhythmic. They are meant to be dance, but the nature of the rhythms are opposite. Flamenco is very grounded, very rooted. The zapateado, the stepping on the floor of the flamenco dancers.
Right, yeah.
And then the popular folk music has a rhythmic nature of air, where dancers jump into the air and like bailarinas up there. Between these two universal forces, there is the copla. It is the moment when the instrumental music and the rhythms stop. The singer stands and sings usually a slow, painful melody, and those three elements are part of Spanish music, and those three elements I think are a big contribution to the music, to the classical music and to the music in general in the world, because there is something so unique about Spanish music. When you hear it, a piece of it, 10 seconds of it, you know that it's from Spain.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that makes it very, very unique. And the guitar it's always been the instrument, the natural instrument, the instrument of the people to transmit those melodies, those cadences. It's Falla, Manuel Granados, Albéniz, all these composers have always tried to somehow imitate the guitar in their compositions.
Right.
Falla or Albéniz in their piano pieces, they are thinking of the guitar.
Yeah.
So that's why the guitar is, one of the few instruments that is very much linked to a country and a culture.
Of course.
To express the voice of a culture, which is Spain.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Can you show us just a snippet of what is this flamenco versus the Spanish folk music that you called it the air, I think.
Sure.
That's fascinating.
So, for example, as you see, it's always
you can hear the stamp.
Yeah, it's very grounded, it's very rooted, it's very ancestral, it's very raw. And then folk music. So it's it's like jumping into the air. And then the copla could be something like I'm trying to think in a good example. It is almost like telling you a story.
Yeah.
It's telling you something, it's telling you a story, it's telling you a love story, sometimes a sad story. And it's always a story that comes from the heart.
And I think you can hear that copla, which I had never understood or heard of, but you can hear and recognize it in other places where I'm sure it's come from Spain, but been adapted to other things.
Definitely. Actually, I'm thinking right now, the tango also has that.
Yes.
has, the very rhythmic moments, but then, everything slows, and the bandoneon starts, singing, or the singer starts singing the dramatic story. And those are elements that I think come from the popular tradition of Spain.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So let me go on with our second trivia question. And remember, leave a voicemail, jump in the comments. Don't leave a voicemail. I'm being told to don't leave a voicemail. Okay, trivia number 2. How many times, has the Utah Symphony played Rodrigo over the years? So have a think on that one. And we'll let the siren go by. Okay, so of course now we're in beautiful 2021, and we've all just been through this incredible year, incredible in many ways, very hard in many ways. And I wanted to ask you, as an artist, what has that been like for you, and what kind of challenges have come through this pandemic, and have there been chances to grow in this time?
It has been a very challenging year for humanity.
Yeah.
And for once, there has been one humanity fighting against this entity. And that's already positive. We've been united in that, and through empathy. And we don't feel that's been something that we've suffered and endured in solitude, but as a community, as a world, as one humanity. As a musician, and as many other professions, we've suffered very directly. In my case, concerts from March to September, they were all cancelled.
Of course.
And however, there were so many musicians, including myself, that we got the inspiration to continue sharing music with an audience, with our audience, with people, through social media.
Yeah.
And it wasn't only, in my case, for them, but it was also for me. They brought me comfort as much as my intention was to bring them comfort to the listeners. And music brings people together.
Yeah.
It's in the hard times when the expressions that unify the human conditions even express even more valuable. So I think music has been an important element to endure all these months for people in their homes, and to feel connected with other human beings through the empathy of emotions.
Yeah.
So challenges are part of life, and as you mentioned beautifully, we always have the opportunity to grow, and it's especially through difficult times that we don't have another choice but grow.
Yeah.
And that's our attitude, our personal and individual attitude. How do we accept the challenges, how we relate to them, and how we maximize the circumstances to grow and to continue evolving into a different mentality. And hopefully through all these months, individuals and communities have grown and have evolved into a better place. And this my empathy and my musical and emotional empathy with all the families that have suffered directly or indirectly the consequences of the virus. And music is a great way to comfort them, to comfort their hearts. And also music is a celebration of hope.
Yeah, it is.
And we are starting to see the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And we realized how vulnerable we are as a humanity, and at the same time, how powerful we are, because we endure it and we are enduring it, and that's an example to celebrate.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Thank you. I'm really struck by what you said a little earlier about the audience making the completion. I can't say it like you did, but completing this process of making music, of making beauty. And that's something that has stuck with me as we look towards the end of this time, is the joy that's going to be felt when we are doing this again together, not just as musicians, but musicians and those who hear.
Yeah, because in the end it's celebrating life.
Yeah.
Celebrating who we are.
Yeah.
And I think institutions like the Utah Symphony that has made an extra effort to continue delivering music to their communities, I think that's something to be very proud of.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. Just wonderful. One last question, and we'll do one more trivia, and then maybe ask you to play just a few more notes. But I wanted to know about your guitar, and I thank you for saying something about it just being this so typical of Spain, not typical of Spain, but this very connected to the music of Spain. But I'm interested in your guitar specifically, and where it's from, and again, what's your relationship to this instrument?
Yeah, so all musicians have a very, very special connection with other instruments. We could almost...
Sometimes for better or for worse.
Yeah, well, that's right on. Because to me, our instruments are the most transparent mirrors of ourselves. So through them, in my case, I've grown so much because I was able to see the divinity of music and my own divinity through my instrument, through the music I was playing, and how I was being part of that greatness that is far more powerful beyond my, vulnerable humanity. And at the same time, I've seen reflected all my fears.
Yeah.
And it's during those moments where it is like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on? You sounded beautifully last week. What's going on
now
this week?
Yeah.
And in the end, the instrument doesn't have to do anything with it. It's our soul, it's our mind, it's our heart, our struggles as human beings. So my instrument is an extension of myself. It is an extension of my arms, of my hands, of my emotions. And it is the bridge to communicate with an audience, to see the profoundness and the beauty of thousands of souls every time I play on stage. And that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really, really transforming. And that's what brings me joy every time I have this opportunity. And that's why I'm so grateful for people that come to the concerts and are willing to open their hearts to music as much as I do, because they inspire me to do the same. So this guitar is from Germany. And maybe people ask me, it's like, okay, you are bragging about Spain and the guitar from Spain and all that. Well, yeah, the guitar is a very universal instrument nowadays, and there are great guitar makers everywhere in the world. I crossed paths with this guitar maker more than 20 years ago, and I fell in love with the instrument. So it is something that nobody, I guess, can't express through words, but it's a connection that comes from the guts, and you feel, you resonate with the instrument itself. So, it is a beautiful instrument. It's part of who I am, and the few times that I travel around the world without it, I think I'm missing
Yeah,
a big
yeah,
part of myself. It's like,
Where is
I
it?
think I'm missing something. Oh, of course, the guitar, yeah.
My wife calls my horn the third child or the fourth child.
Exactly, exactly. So anyway, and in the end, you know, this beautiful instrument, the guitar, it is one of the most popular instruments in the world, and that's its value. Because in its versatility, the versatility that adapts basically to any genre, from classical to flamenco to folk to pop to rock, even to heavy metal.
Yeah.
There is always 6 strings there playing, and that's the value of the instrument. It's the instrument of the people, and it's always been in this in between these 2 ecosystems of the popular and the sophistication of the classical.
Yeah.
So, and there's nothing, there's no better or worse in any of those ecosystems. It's just music.
Yeah.
And the guitar feels comfortable in
All of them.
either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you, Pablo, for those beautiful thoughts. Let's wrap up with our last trivia, and then maybe I'll ask you to play just a little something more for everyone. Our last trivia is actually a chance for you to expound in the comments about the origins of the guitar. Where did the guitar come from? So give your answers, and like I said, we'll select among those who give correct answers to all 3, 1 ticket to see Pablo play. So thank you for joining us. Pablo, would you be willing to play a little something to
Of course.
lead
I'll
us
be
out?
happy to play a little bit of my latest album, The Soul of Spanish Guitar, which is a selection of some of my favorite pieces since I was a kid, and some of them are masterpieces of the repertoire of the Spanish guitar. And this one is a little serenade from Francisco Tárrega called Adelita.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much. What a pleasure.
Thank you, Edmund.
Take care.